dreams.
I'm coming straight out.
New York, big city of dreams.
NYC.
What's going on? It's Jailus from Nick of Time Show here, giving you that Knicks talk just in the nick of time, and it's time to give you some of that rumor talk today. Listen, we've been hearing that Andre Drummond has been in the Knick plans for some time now, right? It's come out like maybe a month and a half ago or so that the Cavs were looking to unload Andre Drummond, and they were looking for like a first round pick and maybe an asset. As time goes on, though, that the asking price started to go down a little bit, and now it seems like he's a buyout candidate. So you know what? We're going to talk about the rumors, if he fits, if he would do it, if he wouldn't do it, and we'll get into it with you guys as well. But before I get into the details, let me introduce my guy, Alec. Alec, I keep mixing up your Twitter name with your actual name. I keep wanting to call you Alex Stratocaster because Stratocaster. Shout out to my guy Alex Stratocaster because that's his Twitter name. But shout out to Alex from Knicks, Nets, etc., who always gives good insight. How you doing today, Alex?
Jay Ellis, what's good, bro? It's always good to be here with you talking Knicks. I'm happy to be here, and of course, as you pointed out, we got some news with regards to, potential buyout candidate, Mr. Andre Drummond. So. Let's get this thing going, man.
Yeah. Let's get this thing going now. As you know, Alex and chat, everybody in YouTube land, the Knicks have been down Mitchell Robinson for the past month or so. His timetable to return hasn't really been set in stone, and I think it's fueling this need for a center and the need for the Knicks to even try to even look for a center. We've had Kylo Quinn rumors happen, and I'm like, all right, to me that's a perfect match for me. Low risk, a guy who can play defense, is not going to take over the offense too much. He's just going to play his role, kind of like another Taj Gibson, a little bit in my mind. But it seems like as of today, the rumors for Andre Drummond are heating up because it's been reported by Shams that and let's get into it right now, into the details as I bring this up, that the Lakers and the Nets are both believed to be Drummond's top suitors should he receive a contract buyout after the trade deadline. But the Cavaliers are steadfast about finding a trade for the center. And like I said earlier before, the Cavaliers, the asking price has gone down. First, it was a first-round pick. Now they're just asking for a second. I seen Woj come on ESPN talk about, they just want a second now. So that should tell you something about his value and maybe even his pay scale once he's a free agent, all right? Also, they also mentioned that the Knicks have also explored the possibility of adding Drummond and potentially offering him a multi-year deal as a free agent via buyout. All right. So, Alex, I just want to get your thoughts real quick. What are your thoughts on these? Just adding Andre Drummond to this team. Do you feel like he fits? Where does he fit if he does indeed fit with the squad?
Yeah, I'm not too high on Andre Drummond. I wouldn't want the Knicks to get him in an isolated move. We're talking about conflicting with Mitchell Robinson at that point. I don't think it would be a great idea to have Drummond on the team plus Mitchell Robinson, Nerlens Noel, Taj Gibson. That's a lot of depth at the center that we don't need. So I don't know why the Knicks would want to go after him unless they're planning to move one of those guys into a package deal for somebody else.
Yeah.
But Andre Drummond himself, he's an okay player. He didn't really have that much. I mean, I think he's a two-time All-Star, has led the league in rebounds. He's a double-double machine, except for one season. He brings a lot to the table, as a player, right? His production itself is isolated. It looks good on paper. However,
Right.
when you look at what is transferred to team success, we haven't seen that much with the Pistons, and we didn't see that much this season and even for part of the season last year with the Cleveland Cavaliers. So I don't know why the Knicks would pursue Drummond. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's funny because the rebounds are something we would like, right? We're not the greatest rebound team. We have Julius Randle here who gobbles up boards, but our centers and Mitch and Nerlens Noel don't exactly give you eye popping rebound stats. So he would short that up for sure. Another pro, we're kind of light when it comes to girthy centers. Pause. Right, the guys who can. I know. Yeah, like the guys who can play defense with the bigger centers of the league, and he shows us that when we actually play the Cleveland Cavaliers, sometimes he bullies us a lot just because he just outweighs everybody. Also, the defense is pretty good as well. He actually had one Defensive Player of the Year vote last season. He's dedicated. He's been more dedicated to that side of the ball. The weird part is really the offense because he always seems to be a double guy and a scorer. But if you're looking at his stats and he can clean the glass, I love cleaning the glass, guys. He's in the bottom efficiency rating in every category at the rim, at the short mid, the long mid, all over the place. So it's interesting to see. Like it seems like they're empty stats. You know what I mean? It seems like it's empty stats and they're non-efficient. He's a non-efficient scorer at the center position, it seems like, at least according to the numbers anyway. But also, we're just going to talk about fit. Because when it comes to fit, right, you're looking at Nerlens Noel, Mitchell Robinson. You would think having him play alongside Julius Randle is a little bit clunky. Right, you feel like next to Julius Randle, you of course you want somebody who's offensive minded. It would help to have someone else who can score next to him, but also I think you want someone who's not going to demand the ball. Correct?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the thing about Andre Drummond, right, is that he has a high usage rate.
Right.
This season alone, he's 30%. Right. Over his time, after his first 2 seasons in the league, he hasn't had anything lower than a 20% usage rate. So he is a key part of that offense, right? Whatever team he's been a part of. And like we said, the numbers are there, but it hasn't really transferred into wins. He's not really the best finisher around the rim for a guy who's his size. He's 6'10". He can bully guys in the paint, as you pointed out, but it really doesn't translate to a lot of success in the paint. He's only averaged, he's only been in the top percentile 3 times throughout his current season, not even recently. Mm-hmm. And we could say, hey, centers today, like if you have someone like Mitchell Robinson who doesn't really have
any offensive game,
any offensive game, he's just like a rim runner, lob threat, whatever. Sure, you're going to look at his percentages and be like, well, he's finishing a lot at the rim, but in all honesty, how much is he doing? So that's where I'll give Andre Drummond a little leeway because he is trying something. He does have some type of moves in the paint. It's not just all lob threats and just stuff like that. So that's fine. I get it. He finishes around 60% above the rim. Not this season so far, but he has in the past. But we're talking about a guy who's going to then clog the paint, as you pointed out, with Julius Randle, who needs most of those touches because Julius Randle is up. I believe he's around the 30th, in the 30% range from usage as well. And then you have R.J. Barrett, who also has to get touches. And then adding another guy in the paint who needs a lot of touches, that just doesn't make a lot of sense to me because now we're just going back to this plan of just having, okay, if we're going to still use Elfrid Payton, right, and we're going to have R.J. Barrett, Julius Randle, and now Andre Drummond. Yeah. Like I said, let's just isolate those guys alone. Let's forget if there's going to be a potential move of moving Mitchell Robinson, moving Nerlens Noel, whoever, right?
Right.
If you have those guys alone, that's a lot of action in the paint.
It's a lot.
We don't need all that action in the paint. What are you going to tell me? Reggie Bullock's going to be the only guy who's going to bail us out?
No, exactly.
Well, something's got to change at that point. And I even think with IQ, maybe that opens it up, but still, we don't as of right now, we're doing well without utilizing our center, and I'd rather have Mitch, still who doesn't probably need that many touches. Mm-hmm. If we're gonna be honest, even if we go further along, he won't need that many touches, but I would like to get more shooting, like on the perimeter, a point guard,
Right.
wing. That's where I would like to see this go. So, Andre Drummond in an isolated bubble, it just doesn't make sense to me. I don't know. What will you tell me, Jay?
I would say this. The way in which it would make sense, and the only way if it would make sense, technically in my mind, is if he's we don't know what money he's looking for. I will say that in the past he's always been looking for the bag. But as you know, in the NBA, it's not what you want, it's what the market value sets for you. And as of today, it looks like his value has dropped because the Cavaliers are trying to get just a second-round pick and filler, and people aren't even willing to do that. So I'm not sure what his market. So he wants to sign. If he wants to sign a multi-year deal, which the Knicks might be willing to give him, it might not cost that much, considering that it's hard for him to be moved as of today, right? But let's hypothetically though, if we were to get him, the best place it would make sense would be with the second unit, right? And that's only if we end up moving a piece. So the thing is though, Julius Randle mentioned this before, how and when he went to the All-Star game and it was talking about bringing other pieces in. The pieces you have to bring in have to be the right character guy. They have to be guys who are going to buy in, who are going to be unselfish, and who are going to play their role. This guy is a career starter. Will he be accepting a bench role? Because the only way it halfway makes sense to me is if he is accepting a bench role, because he does not fit with the first unit.
Yeah, I could see like I don't know. It's weird. He could potentially accept the bench role, right? Because we've seen that no one's giving him no one's trading for him as of right now.
Right.
But that doesn't mean he couldn't be a starter on another team.
Right.
It doesn't mean another team couldn't value him, right? You still need centers in this league. He is a rim protector. The thing is that this just shows that, you know, his value of like what he was getting, because he got he was like 28 million.
Yeah.
28
million.
Like you see that the value is not there.
Yeah.
For what you're getting, so no one's going to give him 28 million. And the reason why he got that in Detroit is who's going to Detroit? Who was going to
Detroit? And Detroit, let's be real, Detroit made a lot of stupid moves over the last 5. Like, let's be real, they did. So
no one wants to take on that 28.5 million cap, or not, or that salary, I should say. So I can see why no one.
Exactly.
Saying, you know, people just put the Knicks in trade conversations, in signing deals, so that way it creates some generation in the market, because they are the most valuable franchise. They are always, you know, historically the Knicks have been that type of franchise to just spend money on players. So I get why they're also like they're thrown in here. It could just be a ploy just to create some market for Andre Drummond as well. You know, this was also happening last season where they were talking about trade talks for Andre Drummond as well, where it's like, oh, Boston, you know, whoever, Cavaliers, so forth. Like, this is not new with Andre Drummond. We get it. It's also easy because, as Berman always loves to point out, he is from Mount Vernon, New York. He is from this
exactly.
area.
Anybody from New York is an easy target.
Yeah, I mean, we were doing this for Carmelo. Like, granted, Carmelo Anthony's like a different level, and I will go back and do the Melo trade over again because I love Melo.
Absolutely.
But you know, this is we're talking about a totally different like echelon, like a player. So I get it, but I don't see why he would want to be a second unit. I think even if he has to take less money, he would still want a starting role. And I just don't, unless the Knicks are not really sold on Mitchell Robinson,
right?
That's where I could see them getting Andre Drummond, and then, you know, doing that flip as I mentioned earlier.
And you know, let me pause the conversation right there. That's the perfect place to pause it. This is why I like this guy. All right, I'm gonna salute to the chat because he just makes the segue so easy for me. He just does every time. Salute to the chat, man. Salute to the chat. Let me salute to the chat as he paused on the Knicks. Remember, we were talking about Mitchell Robinson and the Knicks' usefulness. We're gonna pause right there, all right? But before we get that, salute to the chat, man. Shout out to everybody who chat is rocking with us. We got 117 in chat today. We talking Andre Drummond rumors coming to the Knicks. And yeah, let us know in the chat. Do you want him or not? Let us know. But everybody, shout out to you. Shout out to S. Parker. He says he likes Drummond on the Knicks, but truth is Noel Fitz. He seems to be built for NY. All right. Shout out to Ernest Jeter. Shout out to Greg Castillo. Salute. Nick J. Rich Jim. Chat is live today. Keenan Lambert. Dwayne Tinglin. Shout out to Iller, man. Iller's always in here. Heavy shout out to you. Everybody in the chat. I don't want to miss anybody because it's popping right now. Mike. Man Cave. Shout out to you as well. Precocious Neophyte. I love that name, man. Shout out to Precocious Neophyte. Ayo Pow. Everybody who's rocking with KOT, man, salute to you guys. Listen, if you like the show, you like the breakdowns, please like and subscribe to the channel. We're going to be doing post-game shows as well. And also, we do weekly shows that just talk about the broad subjects. But right now, we're talking about Andre Drummond. Let us know what you think in the chat. Discuss amongst yourself and argue amongst yourselves as well. And if you like if we like what you're doing, let us know. If you hate it, call us stupid. Do whatever you got to do. But, just be respectful about it. All right? Cool. All right, now back to the usefulness of Mitchell Robinson. There's been a lot of interesting articles that have come out in the last few weeks. And, one of the most interesting articles that came out within the last few weeks is the article that talked about Tom Thibodeau's mindset going into the season before the season started. And he felt like he can, at the beginning of the season, he felt like they can flip R.J. Barrett or Julius Randle for a good player. As of now, it's been come out that those two guys are solidified and they feel like they should build around those two. Mitchell Robinson, when he first came into this Knicks season, it seemed like Tom was shaky on him, but he ended up starting him, and it seems like he took a liking to Mitch. Now that Knicks is going down, I'm looking at Tom again because it just seems like to me, all right, the ship has steadied a little bit, even with Mitch down. And as much as I love Mitch and everybody else loves Mitch, I do feel like front offices might look at that and go, okay, maybe since we're kind of steady without Mitch, maybe we can use him in a later move. We've seen rumors for this is only theory. None of this is true. I don't even know how true or not any of these rumors are, but I'm just thinking out loud. All right, guys, just thinking out loud. But because Nerlens Noel and Mitch Robinson are kind of the same player, right? So. And I know some people might even assume that maybe Mitch is the one going, but Nerlens Noel is only on a 1-year deal as well, with $5 million. Half of these guys that's on this team right now, we assumed when they came in that some of them might be flipped. So combine that with the $17 million in cap space, like I can see. I'm not sure what's true or what's not. This is all speculation. I can see the Knicks trying to get Drummond and then trying to flip those pieces for a point guard or a wing, like you kind of said earlier. But like if they don't have to use assets to lock up a backup center position, and a guy who gives you a different skill set than Mitch and Noel, I can see them then go, okay, now we have a bigger cabinet to make another move for Alonzo or whoever they want.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if we do get Drummond, we're not using assets to get Drummond, right? It would be a bio candidate. You can then flip Nerlens Noel, Mitchell Robinson. Taj is staying, so if anyone thinks Taj is going, there's no way Thibs is letting Derrick Rose or Taj go. He's keeping those vets. He loves to keep his vets around, guys that can help add to that culture. But if we're going to do that, right, and we're thinking, because you brought it up at the beginning of the season, we heard that Mitch's motor, or not necessarily motor, but his mindset was the concern, right? is Mitch fully in the game? You know, he didn't attend that mini training camp in September, October, whenever it was. We heard that USA training that Jeff Van Gundy was a little upset that he had to leave early, or, you know, those type of issues have come up around.
Right.
Mitchell Robinson's improved, how he's showing, like, you see that he's not fouling as much anymore. Defensively, like on the pick and roll, you just see that it's there. I mean, the fact that Mitch can guard the perimeter and be able to adjust in the paint and has that athleticism to just move so quickly and be so versatile, that's something that, you know, he's starting to appreciate from Mitch. Something I don't necessarily think it would be a little bit of a downgrade. You know, I don't necessarily consider Drummond like the best on pick and roll.
No, he's not.
Yeah, and I don't really. So, you know, and perimeter action, he doesn't have the quick feet like Mitch does, which is what makes Mitch so
special,
interesting, special. Like, you know, he's still in his third season. He's still so young. I don't know how. Like, the issue with Mitch is like his contract, the looming contract.
It's the contract. How much does he want?
How much is he going to get paid? Much is I'm going to say this, and I can be completely wrong, and I'll own it if I'm completely wrong. I don't see how he can make more than what Julius Randle made this past season, or the past contract, right? I just can't see how you can offer someone that has more to their game and is impacting winning and really doing it without Mitch too at this point, where you see that Mitch's value. I don't know if it kind of, it's no slight to Mitch, but it's just seeing what you see on the court is like, it is giving you the, I guess, the basis for all this, like speculation on like what you want from Mitch and what he can do. But if you were going to flip Mitch, I would hope it'd be more than just for Lonzo. Like I would rather not just for Lonzo. I think Mitch in a package deal can get you something a little bit more. I threw an idea out there, and not saying that it's the best deal to get Bradley Beal, but you could throw Mitch, Kevin Knox, either your choice of like Reggie Bullock or Frank Ntilikina, Austin Rivers, throw in some draft picks. You can throw in this year's Dallas pick, the 2023 pick, whether it's ours or Dallas, and 2 pick swaps for 2022 and 2024. Maybe that's a deal you can do to get Bradley Beal, because they're looking for 3 draft picks and 3 pick swaps, which I don't know how that's going to happen. And they also want a young player
it's the pick swaps for me. Like, you want the pick swaps with the draft picks? Like, bruh, man, that's a lot. I get it, though. I get it. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Here's the thing with pick swaps, right? You got to think of like how good is the team going to be where you're actually going to utilize that pick. Like, we have a pick swap this year with the Clippers. Are we going to do that?
Hell no.
Probably. Yeah, exactly.
No
so like, if the Knicks are better than Washington, then we're just using them as a hypothetical. Like, if you're better than Washington, like, what do you care if they want to? They're not going to split picks for 2022 and 2024. That's just their right to do so in case something happens. And maybe they would want to later out, right? Who knows? I don't know. I'm just giving you an idea of like what a package would look like. Now, the Pelicans and the Thunder could blow that out of the water because they have the draft capital to do so. Like, I think OKC has like 18 picks. Although for them, I don't know what they're trying to do. They're just so young. I don't know how they would just say, all right, let's go trade for Bradley Beal, and then I don't know what other moves. They'd have to make so many other moves to make that make sense.
Right.
Pelicans are the one that would definitely compete for Bradley Beal. Like, absolutely. You have the Denver Nuggets, but the Pelicans have like a legit team. They just need to get another scorer in Bradley Beal to really just open everything up. And they also have the war chest to do so, and they have the players to do so. But then again, who are you willing to trade for Bradley Beal? Are you moving Brandon Ingram? Are you moving like do they just want Alonzo Ball or Josh Hart? You're not moving Zion. So,
yeah, absolutely not. Yeah, absolutely
not. That's who I'm thinking you probably have to compete with, like picks wise, like the Denver Nuggets. Like,
that makes sense.
They'd have to give up probably Michael Porter Jr. I don't know if they're willing to give up Michael Porter Jr. for Bradley Beal, who I don't know how much he wants to be in Denver. That's another question.
That's one of those backdoor deals. You have to make sure that he gives you the handshake for you before you pull a deal like that. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So there's a lot of things. I would just hope that it's not Mitch for Alonzo. I would actually be pulling my hair out if it's Mitch for Alonzo, because I think we could do a lot better with Mitch as an asset.
Yeah, you know what it is too. I've come around on Lonzo because for me, the Lonzo swing skill was the shooting. As of today, his shooting has gotten a lot better. He's going to give you the defense. The thing is, he would set up Mitch. He'd be the guy that's setting up Mitch, and that would unlock Mitch. And if we use him in a trade, that would suck, But well, also like I'm wondering if people see Noel, because Noel is also a guy. Like I keep saying, like I know people are saying Mitch, but Noel can also possibly be a possibility. Is all I'm saying to make this happen. But you are right though. If this was a starter move to keep more assets and then go after Beal, I think people would be happy about that. I'm not sure if that's. It seems like he wants to be there though. Like to be honest with you, I would think a more realistic move would probably be to go after Zach LaVine, because I mean, and that's only depends on. That only really depends on what he wants, because it seems like no matter how miserable Beal is, he wants to stay in Washington. His contract is a few years long, so like there's really no incentive for the Wizards to make a move unless he really demands a trade. Like Zach LaVine, he's going to be hitting free agency this year. Chicago is still in the hunt, so he still might be engaged. He still might be engaged with that team. But I do feel like once you're about to hit free agency, you're more willing to test the market and try not to lose him for nothing. And we might have a little bit of an upper hand if he decides to leave. You know what I mean? So to me, that's more of a possibility to me than Bradley Beal.
For Lonzo, you mean? Yeah.
No, not for Lonzo. No. For LaVine. For
LaVine. For Zach LaVine. Yeah, absolutely. Sorry. Yeah, definitely for Zach LaVine. I don't know if this is where it gets like, what does Chicago want to do? It seems like Zach LaVine's happy in Chicago. Yeah. I mean, and the thing is, like, Chicago's another major market, and I just want to. I saw someone say I'm overvaluing Mitch. I guess with regards to Lonzo, I'm just thinking of a straight up swap. I just think you could put Mitch in another. I think you could package Mitch with other assets to get something
bigger
more than
down
Lonzo.
Bigger down the line.
Yeah, and like, why would I want? Like, I think Mitch does have. I think there's like, people are intrigued by Mitchell Robinson. Like, Mitchell Robinson, didn't he make the top 100 players on ESPN's list this season?
Yeah.
So he's not like I think Lonzo was in the 60s. So if you're telling me you need to add more players just to move up for Lonzo, I'd rather add more players and see what I can get somewhere else. That's just my opinion. I think for Lonzo, I like Lonzo. I actually like Lonzo a lot. I would love to see Lonzo on the Knicks. He would be better than Elfrid Payton, right?
Absolutely.
He's definitely the point guard that we want. He's a rebounder. He can push and pace. He can do a lot of things. His shot's coming around. As I always say, the free throw percentage is a little concerning, but it looks like his shot's coming around, and I think that just takes time. But I have nothing against Lonzo. I like Lonzo. I just think a package for Lonzo doesn't need to include Mitchell Robinson. I think you can get Lonzo for even a cheaper deal. I think you could throw, if they're looking for a first round, that's the other thing. They're looking for a first round pick.
Right.
And I'm not, like, for me, like a restricted free agent, I know you have to give up something in order to get something, but for a restricted free agent, so you can have his bird rights and just have the first meeting with somebody. Mm-hmm. If you're telling me it's like Kevin Knox and a first rounder to do that, I don't know. Like, that's not enticing to me.
Right.
I don't think that would be enticing for the Knicks either. And I just also want to point out that, like, Ian Begley reported that, the Knicks, it doesn't seem like the Knicks are make any, like, splashy moves.
Yeah, they did say that. Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if you would consider. I don't know if you consider Lonzo splashy, but
yeah, I don't know if you consider Lonzo. I don't like. That's the thing. What is splashy now? Like, is picking up Andre Drummond off buyout market a splashy move? I don't think that is. Is trading for Lonzo Ball splashy? Nah, not really. Like, I will say that he's getting better. Like, he's been tearing it up. He's been shooting over 40% from three for the last, few weeks or so. So he's being put on notice. He's getting more shine right now. So, but I wouldn't consider that flashy as well. And I'm with you. I don't know if I'm giving up a first for him, but maybe, if there's some guys on the team. Here's the thing: if we have a bunch of guys on this team that we have to make a decision on, and if they're not in our long-term plans, I don't want to lose them for nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's where, thinking about, I love Mitch. Like, I love our guys. I think for Mitch, that's the question. That's where, we were, because it was him and Barrett there pinpointed, like in that whole Leon Rose videos, like the two guys, like you want to like kind of build around, right? When he had that interview with Breen. So I don't know where the Knicks, like we don't know what the Knicks are thinking internally. What's the ooh for?
I just saw some news that came off the top of my screen that I want to talk about. But salute. I'm sorry. Go ahead after you finish.
No, I'm just like, I just don't know what the Knicks are thinking internally, just because like we've heard the back and forth so far. So I agree with you though, JL. It's like we don't want to lose these guys for nothing. We're not going to keep all of them. That's
right.
I can tell you that right now. We're not going to keep all of them. It's who's getting moved. We already see right now we got 4 guys in the, like before Mitch got hurt, it was 4 young guys in the rotation. So.
Right. Exactly. So to me, my moves are based on what the front office wants. If the front office doesn't see a future with Mitch, or the guys who are on their last year, Mitch, Frank, then I would say move them. Like even if I do see a news, I don't want to see them go. I'm a Mitch fan. I'm also a Frank fan. Everybody knows that. But if they don't, if there's no future for them here, and they're planning on not resigning them for cap space reasons or whatever, then I would prefer them be moved.
No, that makes total sense. Sorry to cut you off.
All right, and yo, salute to the chat. If you love the content, hit the thumbs up button. Subscribe to the channel. Please share, spread the word. We're gonna be doing a bunch of live streams that come out talking about recent news, post games, etc. So if you love what we're doing, please subscribe to the channel, share, and also super chats are welcome as well. Helps grow the channel. Helps me pay for writers and mics and editing and things of that nature. All right. So shout out to the chat. Shout out to people who are contributing. Also, I'm seeing news in the chat. Hold on. Had to hit the gunshots today. Had to hit the gunshots just now. News just hit the chat that IQ is now starting today versus the Brooklyn Nets. Let's go, IQ.
You love to see it.
Love to see it. Now I'm a little nervous. I'm not gonna lie. I've been, if you check the channel, I've been rooting for IQ to start since preseason. I know I jumped the gun. I know. I jumped the gun. But I was like, man, this guy's shooting just opened everything else up for us. I've also, you know what? I'm a little nervous because he is guarding Kyrie Irving. You know?
Yeah. That's the concern, right? This is where I'm happy to see that he's starting. I think he deserves a shot to start.
Right.
But was my concern, and like when Derrick Rose comes back, like I've been a proponent of saying, you can start for this season. You can start Derrick Rose, and then have Emmanuel quickly just like get most of the minutes, because Derrick Rose is going to get 20 to 25 minutes per night, but then you can just rely the rest on Emmanuel quickly, and they can play together too. Right?
Exactly. Yep.
So I'd rather see that just to like still ease him in. Like we had an easier schedule the first half than the second half.
Exactly.
And I'll go back to how he faced it, like went against Mike Conley, and like Mike Conley was on the outside looking in for the All-Star. So
exactly,
we're gonna face some tougher talent coming up. So
yeah,
I'm happy that IQ's starting today. And we'll see if he does well today. Then it's really gonna change my whole mind. But
right, no, exactly, and to be honest, I wanted Frank on Kyrie, because he's done a good job on Kyrie. But I am at the same time, I'm really excited to see what this looks like against Brooklyn. It's like, I'm not even mad. I'm just like, it's exciting a little bit. I'm not gonna lie.
Absolutely, I'm so stoked to see how Emmanuel Quigley's going to play tonight. Just because this is all right. So this is like what fans have just been clamoring for, right? Especially if you've just been out there just slandering the living daylights out of Elfrid Payton. This is what you've been asking for, and so now we're going to get it, and hopefully it goes really well. I just want to see IQ, perform really well tonight, like as any other Knicks fan. Let's see what happens, because this is going to create even more of a complication if he plays really well tonight against Brooklyn, and then you get D Rose back, and it's like, oh man, because we already see how well IQ, RJ, and Randall play together. So
Yeah,
if he does well against a top tiered point guard, it's gonna be hard to keep him on the bench.
It's definitely going to be hard to keep him on the bench. But the question is, like, here's my thing. The bench unit is going to be a concern. I want to see how Tom Thibodeau manages the rotation when it comes to the bench. Because now that you have IQ starting, that firepower is going to be cut once you hit the bench. That means you're going to have Frank and Obi Toppin with Alec Burks carrying that offensive load. So we know this is why we signed Alec Burks, though. Alec Burks, he was a guy who ran the offense for Golden State. He also went to the 76ers. I call him Bubble Burke when he was with the 76ers because he was going off in the bubble. I saw some stat on Clean the Glass that said he was in the 100th percentile in corner threes in the bubble for the 76ers. And I was just like, okay, Burks, I didn't know you had that in you. So I'm like, let's bring that here. So for us to survive tonight versus the Brooklyn Nets, the bench is going to have to be key. And, well, everybody's going to have to be key, for real. But especially the bench now that the firepower is in the starting unit.
Absolutely. And that was my concern with the last game when we played OKC. I think we went really, even though we had 9 guys, Frank didn't play that much. And neither did Obi at that point. So we really didn't go with – we had 9 that played, but it was really relying on 7. You know, Tibbs kept it really short. And we've seen that he's kept it really short in the past, too, where he's gone 8 deep. That's the only thing I would, and that's the other reason why I want IQ on the bench too, is because we have firepower on the bench. I like it. I like the balance of the scoring.
Yeah.
You know, if we have IQ, Burks, you know, Frank, where it's fine with him on the bench, and then you have Taj and then Obi.
Yeah, man.
That's now if you put IQ up front, we don't, you know, even if you put Derrick Rose with the second unit without IQ. Is that really enough firepower? Like, is that really like what? Are you, like, unless you're gonna start featuring Obi, which that could also be another option, right?
Yeah,
that could be an option where it's like you start featuring
pick and roll Obi, pick and roll Obi. Like this to, yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but yeah, the pick.
No, that's all good.
That's something that we haven't seen all year. We've had, you know, we just had Alec Burks running the point, chucking up threes and doing picks, but for Obi to be who he needs to be running the pick and roll. And I just feel like, yes, I would like to see pick and roll with Obi and Frank. I would like to see that because I do feel like Frank ran the pick and roll well back in the day when he had KP as a target for like a week or so.
Yeah.
So I would like to see that mixed in with the offense, mixed in with Alec Burks running the offense as well. So if we get some kind of balance with that in the second unit, I would love to see it. Yeah, and Raphael said Jail's getting nervous. Yeah, I'm getting nervous, man, because I love like it's exciting and nervous at the same time, man. I really want to see IQ in the starting unit, but that second unit, man, looks shaky right now. So the balance is off to me, but that's just me.
Yeah, it seems a little off to me too. That I had the same thought when I saw IQ came out of the second half against the Thunder, and he was starting over Frank. It's you just don't know what the second unit is going to look like once Derrick Rose and Alfred Payton come back. Mm-hmm. But you know, if it means more time for Obi to start getting going, you know, if we can have IQ in the I would like to see that too, you know. So if that means pushing the pace, which that second unit, if you have Frank, was it D Rose, Burks, Obi, Taj will get up there.
Taj is really Derrick Rose. Frank is not a pace pusher. It would have to be Derrick Rose and Obi. They would run. I would see them running.
Yeah, but that's those 4 guys alone. That could just be some transition that we could finally do. And Obi loves to get out, so maybe that's a chance. Maybe that's a chance for Obi to start getting his shine, and we can start seeing something.
Absolutely.
I don't know, but we'll see how that works. We'll see once Derrick Rose comes back. We'll see how IQ plays tonight, because how IQ plays tonight is really going to determine. It's not going to determine. It's going to just make a lot of things a little bit harder for Tibbs. But I will say this, because everyone's getting on Tibbs for rotations. He notices Like he had.
He
Frank
gets it
Starr in the
eventually.
he had Frank Starr against the Spurs and OKC, and he's like, you know what, this ain't it. IQ, I can't hold it back anymore.
Exactly.
Get in there, my man.
Unleash the Kraken. Let's go. Let's go,
All for
IQ.
it.
IQ. Oh man. And for those who don't know, the game does start at 8 today, which allowed us to kind of do this little pre-talk beforehand. So definitely enjoy the game. Actually, we're gonna be doing a post game tonight as well. So shout out if you want to see a post game. Me and Ryan gonna do a post game tonight after the game. So definitely hit that notification bell and come back, and we're gonna talk post game tonight. All right. But shout out to everybody in the chat. We can do our last shout outs real quick. Let's see. Where are you guys? Where is my chat? All right, shout out to everybody in chat. If you're hashtag new, hit that hashtag new. I'll give you a special shout out as well. Shout out to everybody in chat. Shout out to C.2002, Nick Dreezy, Mike, Man Cave, ZK, ZK Spinal, Chumps Clumps, Raphael Burgess. Raphael Burgess says you're a great guest, man. You got a fan, man.
Appreciate it, man.
Shout out to Fritz Alessandro. Oh yeah, and Fritz, thank you for the correction, Fritz. He said that Zach LaVine is a free agent the following summer, not this summer. I mean, which does make a difference. It makes a huge difference, but it's still it's still more of a possibility the shorter the contract is, but it does make it a little bit harder. I will say that. All right. Shout out to Nick Dreezy as well, and everybody else in the chat who's rocking with KOT tonight. Shout out to Iller as well. All right. Keenan Burns says IQ might get put in the blender tonight. Yeah, man, he might get put in the blender tonight. I'm a little bit nervous. If you love the content, man, hit the thumbs up. Please hit the thumbs up button. Please like, please share, and please subscribe to the channel, man. We're gonna do a whole lot more of these. Okay, I see you new. Shout out to Canal Ben Loyal. Oh yeah, hashtag new. I saw you. Oh, you was here yesterday too. Shout out to you. I saw you here yesterday. Man, thanks. Yeah, that's still new. His first day was yesterday. That's still new. That still counts. That still counts.
No, that's a fact. That's a fact.
He said, exactly. You get new sneakers yesterday. Today it's still new. You know what I'm saying? You get that hashtag new tag for like a week or so, and then you a vet. All right. Mike Uno says Knicks by 20 tonight.
Win by 20.
Yo, speak it into existence. I'm with it.
I'm with it. If that happens,
I'm with it.
I will be insufferable.
Definitely. Any last thoughts, Alex?
About what? Drummond, the game, IQ,
anything. Or you just want to wrap it up? It's fine if you want to wrap it up. It's fine.
No, I guess the last thoughts I'll have for Drummond is that if we do make a move for Drummond, I am expecting a subsequent move right afterwards. I don't know for who, but I'm expecting a subsequent move right afterwards. It doesn't mean like the next day before the trade deadline. I'm expecting something to happen this upcoming offseason, just because I would expect Worldwide West is very much in the know, and I would say that he has something up his sleeve with Leon Rose in order to make this type of move. It's not like, I would say it's not like the last regime where it's like we're hoping.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And my guess will also be the same. If we do make that move, this will be a subsequent move following it. I do think the Lonzo thing might be something to take a look at, only because if we got another center, and if you're looking at their roster, it seems like they're a little bit thin in the center position. I think they have Willie Hernangomez starting a few weeks.
But you got Steven Adams down there too,
yeah,
right?
There's Steven Adams, yes, but then they probably would need a backup. You know what I mean? And they have Willie Hernangomez there who doesn't really give you much on the defensive end. So I think they would be looking for more of a surefire defensive center. So I can see them wanting either one, Mitch or Noel. So that would be my guess if the Knicks were able to get Drummond in the buyout market, if all this is real.
If all this is real.
If all this is real. I mean, Sham said it, so when Sham says it, take it serious. You take it a little more seriously. But things happen, things change. You just don't know. You just don't know with rumors. You just don't know. All right?
You don't.
You just don't know. All right, that is our show. Like I said, if you like the channel, if you like the content, please like and subscribe. Also, definitely follow my guy Alex. He does Knicks, Jets, etc. So definitely go follow his podcast. He do great work over there as well, and always a great guest on the KLT show. All right. So yeah, one more time, Alex, just plug your stuff real quick before we leave.
JLS, thank you for the kind words, and thank you for having me on. I always love coming on the Nick of Time show. It's an awesome show. Been following you for a minute. You do great work, my man. And I love the website too, and all the writers, Fritz.
Yeah.
I know you got Ken out there, Rob. I know all you guys are all reading your work.
Yeah,
Shout out to all you guys.
Man. Shout out to my writers.
Shout out to you guys for all the hard work you guys do. And salute to Knicks Nation, all right? Because you guys are also fun. You feel like family to me. But for all you guys out there, you can follow me over at Knicks, Jets, etc., which is a podcast. We talk about the Knicks and the Jets. So if you're a miserable Jets fan, come join me. Especially since it's free agency today. So if you really want to hear something this week, you can definitely hear some stuff. So we're on all streaming platforms, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, you name it, we're there. I write for Hoops Habit, part of Fanside. I also write for KnicksFanTV.com. And if you're into sports betting, you can find me at TallySite as well.
All right.
And that's where you can find all my work.
There you go. They follow all those and read all that. Do all the stuff. All that stuff. Make sure follow him on Twitter. And just in case you missed his little Twitter handle, let me hit that graphic one more time so you can see it. All right. Hit that. It's loading slow, but it's going to get there. All right. It's loading real slow. My buffer is not buffering. It's fine, though. There we go. Yeah. There we go. There we go. All right, cool. Also, you can follow me as well. I'm on Instagram if you want. I do artwork. I'm an artist. If you didn't know, I'm a Knicks fan / artist. I draw. I do logos. I do websites. I designed the scene right here. So I am JLS Draws Things. If you want to follow me for some artwork, that's JLS Draws Things on Instagram. But also, if you want to follow the Knicks content, you always got to go to the KOT Show on Twitter, Nick of Time Show on Instagram. And we're also on the blog as well at thenickoftimeshow.com. And as Alex said, we have a bunch of writers there who do great work. Fritz, Mikey, Ken, Rob, everybody there who contributes. Shout out to you guys who do great work. And I really appreciate you guys. Seriously, I really do. And yeah, also like, subscribe to the channel and find us on all audio platforms as well. That's SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, etc., etc., etc. All right. That is our show. Check us out later for the post-game show. We out of here. Peace.